Welcome to another episode of the 24/7 Laredo Podcast, where the conversation never ends. I'm your host, Jesus Chuy, and this is 24/7 Laredo. We're a free and independent news platform bringing your original content you won't find anywhere else. Our mission is simple: is to provide you with an open, honest dialogue about issues that affect Laredo and South Texas, and stories about Laredo as well. You can find us at Facebook or you can find us at YouTube. Either way, contact us there so we can then keep you up to date with all the latest videos that we've done. Sometimes they're confrontational, sometimes they're uncomfortable, but for the most part, it's real, no spin, no games, just an honest discussion about the day's issues. If you'd like to join us as a guest or a candidate, you're welcome to give us a call and we'll put you on as soon as we can. But what we don't talk about are conspiracy theories, we don't talk about hate, and we don't accept any personal attacks. So we just have a very good, meaningful conversation about the issues of the day. We're bilingual, English and Spanish. So every once in a while, se nos sale el español. But for the most part, we'll be doing it in English. If you want to communicate with us, you can always contact us at 247 Laredo 2021 at gmail.com. Welcome, Judge, for being here. I appreciate you making it. I know you've been good about it. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get you on board earlier, but we're very grateful that you're here, Judge. I've known you for many years, of course. Judge, how's the campaign coming along?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure, definitely.
And the campaign's coming along great. We've been getting a lot of people calling us. They want us to put up signs. We haven't been able to finish putting up signs.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know how it is.
Yes.
People calling and people trying to get a hold of wanting to talk to you about the campaign.
Right.
So between work and the campaign.
Yeah, because you didn't take any time off. You're still working full time.
That's correct.
And you're not taking any time off, apparently.
That's correct. We still have to go do some of the dockets, do the administrative work there at the courthouse, but then we still have to go knock on doors, talk to people, go to events, put up signs, and then cover everything that's behind the scenes for a campaign.
You've been a municipal court judge for how long, Judge?
I've been a municipal court judge already for almost. I've been there. I was there for half a year as an associate judge, and then I was elected in December of 2018. And since then, I've been a judge.
8 years, pretty much.
Pretty much, I've been over 7.5 years as a municipal court judge, either an associate or a full-time judge.
Now, Judge, you're an attorney, of course.
Of course, and the municipal court is a court of record.
Right.
And being a court of record, you need to be a licensed attorney in order to be able to be a judge there.
Right. And how long you've been? Obviously, you're an attorney. So you've been.
I've been an attorney almost 30 years now.
So you handle when you're in your private practice, you've handled all kinds of cases, I would imagine.
Yes. When I was in private practice, since day one, I opened up my own practice. I opened up my own office, and I started dealing with different types of laws. Transactional work, the easy work first, the transactional stuff, and then started doing some courtroom experience, doing some family law, doing criminal law, doing some civil law. And within my first 2 years of being a lawyer, I was already in federal court also doing some of the criminal law. I got hired by one of the local lawyers on a big civil case back in 1999. It was a probate matter, and it was a big case that ended up in the 341st also. It was a civil case that handled multiple parties, and it was one that was defending an estate. I was representing an estate. That's how I started in the probate. And then we ended up getting a directed verdict. I won the case on behalf of the estate, so I was cut off before it went to a jury. That was my big civil trial that I tried, and I tried it very early in my career.
But what type of cases go to the 111th, Judge?
The type of cases that usually end up in the 111th are civil cases, criminal cases, and family law cases. Remember, this court is a general jurisdiction court, so it handles all these type of cases. I've experienced throughout my career handling all these cases, criminal, civil, family, and always dealing with people, always dealing with clients, and getting prepared for trial on all types of laws, and it makes it very interesting.
All kinds of personalities, all kinds of people you've been dealing with, I'm sure, during this period of time.
Yes.
Now, what do you think you've accomplished at municipal court since you've been a judge?
Since I've been a judge, we've done many things at the courthouse. I came in with a few as my platform last time to do a few things. I checked up those boxes within my first 2 years of being in office. Thereafter, what I did, I ended up doing driving license clinics. I did offsite court where we reached out to the community and ended up being in every councilman's district holding court there. So we will have court at the what is
So
it at the southern at the
Right.
well at the library in
Right.
the south. I think it's the MOS the Sanchez Ochoa McKendrick
Right.
Ochoa Sanchez
Right.
Library, and we had the precinct District 1, District 2, and then we ended up having court at the Haynes Center Recreational Center, and that was District 3, District
So-
4, and so
So
on and so
you've
forth.
had court in community settings, and you've had court at night.
Yes, and what I was doing is I was mirroring what the courts would do, like the district courts, where you see those specialty courts or the courts from the 406 or
Right.
the 341st that
Right.
end up doing courts in school. It's still their court, but they were just handling sentences.
And you're actually providing the opportunity for kids, students, and parents to see how the actual court settings are.
Yes. So what you do, you go out there to the community, and then everybody that's there or participating there at the community center would end up taking care of their cases in court. Some of them would not have access to the courts because of they didn't have vehicles or they didn't have rides, and they had warrants and stuff. So we were handling all the types of cases we would handle at the regular court. We were doing it offsite.
I think the municipal court judge is one of the busiest positions there are. So you have handled literally thousands of cases every year.
That's correct. Look,
As
being a
opposed to-
municipal court judge,
as
being-
opposed to being a district court that can handle maybe a few hundred cases
look,
a year.
you were a county court of law judge, and you handled hundreds of cases. Right now, every year they file close to 52 to 54,000 cases there at the municipal court. Of course, not everybody or all the cases end up being shown up or anything like that, but eventually they trickle in and they
You
come into
file
place. That's why when we do the amnesty program, we're trying to bring in cases that haven't been disposed of or that haven't been uncollectible for many years, and we try to reactivate them and take care of them,
Right.
dispose them. So we get to see at an average a week, we end up seeing close to 400 to 600 people a week. And we handle, when I came in, it was only structured to be two dockets. It
Right.
was the morning docket at 9 and
afternoon.
the afternoon docket at
Yes.
1. And I changed all that, saying let's structure it with
Yes.
different dockets. We now have over 13 dockets. We have the regular initial appearance docket at 9 at 1, but then we created a walk-in docket that's at the same hour as those. And then we created another docket, the Warren docket, that's daily at 10 a.m. And then some days we have bench trials
Right.
at 11.
Saturdays, yes.
We have to have those bench trials. And then we have the specialty court basically mirroring when I came in, the juveniles were all
Right.
in between with the adults.
Right.
And you have to treat those cases different because the code calls it to be
Right.
treated different. So we created a juvenile docket for one day on Mondays at 3 p.m. And then we created a specialty docket for attorneys only so they can come in, walk in with their clients, or set those cases for hearings
you've
at
been
that
very,
time.
very cognizant of the fact that sometimes you gotta set them aside. Like
Yes.
some obviously a little bit more. They hired lawyers. They're juveniles. I mean, there are other things come into play.
Yes.
And that's why we have to have different
and that's
court
how-
dockets.
Correct. And that's how you mirror the courts. I've been to courts all across Texas.
Right.
And I've seen courts in Harris County, Bexar County, Tarrant County,
Yes.
Dallas County, Austin, Hayes County, Nueces County, everywhere.
Yes.
So you start getting the best of
Yeah,
the
right, the
ideas
ideas,
from
right.
all those courts. And what I saw in the ones here locally is the courts that have general jurisdiction, they usually have special dockets that you need to take care of. You can't
Yes.
be mixing up the family law issues persons with the criminal law at
No,
the same
you
time
can't
because
do
it makes it
And
very
that's what happens in district court.
it makes it very inconvenient
Right.
for the litigants, for the parties to be there and saying, why is the criminal cases taking preference over mine? Because you want to get the people that are in jail out of the courtroom a lot faster than soon because of safety purposes. But you want to take care of the cases. You want to give them this special time to them. You want them to allow them to tell their story. And I've always been able to have the people that come into the court be able to tell me what is it that they want to do. I protect their rights all the time, and tell them I'm a neutral person. I'm here as a judge. I don't represent the city of Laredo, the state of Texas, and I don't
How
represent
do you
you
do that,
guys.
Judge? I mean, what do you think is, well, first, let me ask you another question. Why is it that you want to be a judge?
I
Why do
want
you
to
want to continue to be a judge?
Let me tell you why I want to continue to be a judge. I love what I'm doing. I enjoy what I'm doing, and I see that there's a need for people to be able to be heard. I think I have the judicial temperament in order to listen to the people and listen to their story. When I represented people as a lawyer, they wanted to talk to the judge all the time. But because they had lawyers, they weren't able to, it was limited what we were able to tell them to say or not say. And the same thing happens here. They're limited to what they want to say or not say. Their rights are going to be protected. But every lawyer needs an opportunity to tell the client's story.
Yes.
And I think I have the patience, I have the knowledge of being and dealing with people. I've been a lawyer, like I told you, for almost 30 years. I've heard many different types of stories, and you start getting a feel for it. And I have that feel for it where I use not only the knowledge I have of the law, but I also have the life experiences. And
Right.
those life experiences help a lot because it gives me the empathy and the compassion to listen to these people and hear their story. And that's all they want. They have the right to be in court, and they want their day in court. And as a judge here at the municipal court, I've been practicing to do that for the last almost 8
Judge, does
years.
a person need to have a lawyer to go see you in municipal court?
And municipal court, they do not have to have a lawyer. They have the right. Everybody has a right to a lawyer, but not in municipal court because it's a class C misdemeanor. So usually those cases they're not awarded the right to a
Right.
lawyer. So if they want to fight, they need to hire their own lawyer. But when they come in, we try to protect their rights as much as we can, and allowing them to present the case. So if they want to go to trial, we help them present a case.
Right, right. Now, right now, you have the amnesty program going on.
That's correct. We just announced that next week the amnesty program starts, and it runs from March 11th, from February 11th
Yes.
all the way to March 20th. And what it is, it gives everybody the opportunity that has old cases, either
To clear them.
disposed or not disposed, to clear them. They need to come in a good faith type of effort to make arrangements with us. And if it's something that's going to be able to be forgiven, it is. If you have warrants, you're not going to get arrested with warrants.
So that's the whole purpose. You're not going to get arrested.
You're not going to get. In
Right.
fact, ever since I came into office, I've instructed the police officers when they stop someone and they have warrants, they have the option of bringing them to
Bring
the
them into
court,
you. Yeah.
bringing them to the court instanter, right then and there, and we'll take care of them. And if they want to do something at night, I make myself available.
Right.
With the advent of Zoom and all these
Yes.
applications, I've been in different areas where sometimes they get booked at the police station, and I'd be able to see them through Zoom. It's happened in a couple of occasions, but the availability is there, and we do it when we're open. In fact, there was a program that was just run by the police department where they were starting to pick up cars because people that were unlicensed were getting
Right. I
they were going to
remember
be
for a while.
taking their
Yes.
car taken
Yes.
away. Well, they did a stunt like that for the month of October, and they ended up taking close to between 122 and 150 cars. I can't really remember, but all those people that they took cars from, they were brought to the court. So we stayed late till 9 o'clock.
Take care
Those
of it.
those dockets taking care of those people and those officers. And what we saw, there was a reduction of people driving without a license. or driving
Well,
without
the
insurance.
word got
The
out.
word gets out fast, believe
Yes.
me. So
I believe you.
people still, if they don't have a license, believe me, they can still come in. I just saw somebody brought in, and I asked the police officer, "Did you take his car?" Yes. Well, he's gonna have to have extra money just to get the car out.
Right.
So
It's
try to
right.
make
So
arrangements
really,
with them.
it can be expensive
It's very
if you don't take care of your business with this report.
right now. It's very expensive, and especially the people that are getting stopped now. Sometimes if they don't have a license and they don't have documents and
Yes.
stuff, it can get a little bit more
I
complicated.
believe you. One last question, just before we go to break. Um, the city makes a lot of money off those fines. I mean, I would imagine it's close to what, 2 million, $3 million a year, or am I off?
Well, you're kind of off. Okay.
Or is it
When
15? I don't
let me
remember.
tell you, let me tell you, when I came in, they were averaging 3.5 million. Since I took over the municipal court, we're averaging now the last 3 years, we averaged close to 6, or we were over 6 million.
Wow.
And this is because we increased the amount of courtrooms, we remodeled the courthouse,
Right,
we revamped
you did.
the programs. We were able to have 2 more associate judges. One would they're halftime judges
Yes.
because that's the way they were hired. So one of them was in the morning and one was the afternoon. So there was always 2 full time. It was like
Yes.
having 2 judges at the same time.
And the
So we were
technolo-
moving a
the
lot of
technology.
cases, and the technology helped
Yeah,
tremendously.
to purchase cost of upgrades and stuff like that.
With the upgrades and the cloud and everything, in fact, we ended up upgrading at a cheaper price.
Wow.
So we used in the program now. When I came in, they were using 3 to 5% of the program. Right now, we're at 85% of the program.
The judges that are there are not there to make money for the city. Is that right?
It's ju-
Because some people think that you know what, they're trying to pay off the fees for the city, or sometimes they think that the money is being used for some other purpose.
Let-
But reality, you as a judge don't think about the money part.
Look, money is not money is the only way I can punish. It's a classy misdemeanor. It's a fine only court, and the only way we can collect is money. But the legislature has given us the authority and the discretion to look at alternative types of sentencing. If you don't
Yes.
have the money, there's still a lot of programs that I can send you to. There's a lot of things that I can look into and try to reduce those fees. Look, when you look at it, this year's budget for the city was over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Over $1 billion. How much is $6 million gonna affect $1 billion budget?
But that's
It's
what I'm
just
saying.
the
That's
nature of the when
the
you put
nature
it
of the
like
job.
that.
Yes, you're
It's
right.
the nature of the job.
But when a person goes before a judge, municipal court, the you do change hats when it deals with that in terms of using some compassion.
I use a lot of compassion when they come into me. They come to the court, and I ask him, and I don't mean to pry into their affairs, but I ask him, and I ask him, how is it that your ability to pay? I start off like that, and when the first person comes in, so the rest of them can hear, is basically, I want to know what your financial status is,
Right.
but I want you to know that I'm wanting to know, so you don't have to come back to the court, so we can structure something so we can take care of you and take care of it. Some of them are students, some of them are unemployed, some of them are homeless, some of them end up being
Seniors.
2 single mothers. Others are fathers that have 5 or 6 children, and you start seeing everything that comes into effect. So I can see where they're coming from, that they want to take care of their stuff because they're there at the courthouse and they want to accept responsibility for what they did. But I look at their ability to pay, and some of them end up with a class that takes care of all the cases. Some of them end up giving them credit because they're attending college, and I tell them, bring me your grades, see how you're doing. Other people I
So
see,
you get creative.
you
You
have
have
to
to
be
be
creative
creative
in order to take care of it.
Yes.
And those are
And
non-cash,
community service, of course.
and those are non-cash availabilities that
The
people
options.
take, options that they take in order to dispose of their cases. I've had seen cases that had cases from 1998, 99, 2001, 2006,
20 years ago.
and they're still picking up cases now because they were never able to get a license. So when the legislature came in, the first thing they did, and then we got lucky, they did away with surcharges. So once they did away with surcharges, that's why we started having those clinics so people can get their
Yes.
licenses. So we started working toward that. And then we started looking into the big fines that they owed or the big fees that they owed. And a lot of them were warrant fees because they were coming and going, coming and going. Not they didn't want to show up to court because they had a warrant and they were scared they were going to get arrested. So educating the people meant a lot to me as a judge. Educating the staff. When I came in, there was only 2 clerks that had some type of certification toward being clerks. Right now, out of 26 clerks that we have, I'm proud to
That many
say,
people, that's a
I'm
lot of
proud to
people.
say, well, I'm proud to say that 15 of them have certifications and 2 of them have advanced certifications that
So
any court in the United States would be able to take them.
definitely.
And that shows, for me, I'm proud that those people are so educated toward being
Right.
in the courtroom or in the courthouse that they're able now to help the people at the front door, at the front window.
Well, we're gonna take a short break, and as soon as we're back, I'm gonna ask the judge, what's the most important character trait you need to have to become a district court judge? I look forward to getting that answer.
Of course.
We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. We do have our music court judge, Jesus Dominguez, who's running actually for the 111th District Court. I did not ask you the question, but what are the most important character traits as a judge need to have so he can hear cases like this?
Well,
Personal traits that you think?
he has to have he has to be fair and impartial to begin with, and he has to treat everybody with dignity and respect, and he has to have compassion to those people. And those things you learn through experience, through
Yes.
practice, and you see it in other judges, and you want to emulate those judges, or you start practicing as a judge, being a judge, and you start seeing it what developing little by little.
Exactly. Well, that's important because being a judge is not only just knowing the law, but also applying the law. And some people they have different standards sometimes, and they shouldn't have different standards. It's all about
It should be
judicial temperament and what's fair for both sides, and of course your experience of life.
yeah,
You need to bring into play.
and the life experiences, but you follow the rule of law.
Yes.
And what you want to do more than anything in trying to see and listen to those cases is that when you look at the rules of evidence, even though you're at a municipal court, they're the same rules of evidence that
Exactly.
you use at the district court. So you practice those rules even more now. You don't practice them as much. You practice them as a lawyer, but you're usually wanting to introduce evidence.
Yes.
And as a judge, now you listen back and seeing that's evidence going to be allowed to come in or not.
Exactly.
So that's the practice that I forgot. I've been as an attorney trying to introduce evidence, and now as a judge, I'm trying to see if it comes in
You're
or
gonna
it
be the
gets
referee. You're
excluded.
gonna be the referee.
You become
apparently.
the referee for both
Exactly.
parties. You have to be very neutral, and those are the things that I'm going to bring to the 111 District Court, because I've been doing that for the last 8 years.
What type of cases go to the 111 District Court?
The family law cases, criminal cases, and civil cases. Those are basically, it's a general
Top three.
jurisdiction type of case, and those are the cases that do come in to them.
I mean,
District Court.
it has been traditionally that the bigger cases end up going to the 111 District Court, the biggest civil cases.
That's correct. The biggest civil cases come to the district court because the county court of law is capped.
Yes.
They cannot listen to over $200,000 on a county court of law
Right.
case. So if the cases have limits that are unlimited,
Right,
it has to go to district court.
right.
That's why those civil cases
It's-
end up there.
And what about the divorces?
The
You
di-
handle the same thing as with county court law?
Yes, we handle the same type of divorces, and the reason is because they have the concurrent jurisdiction. They
Right.
went to Austin. They asked for permission for the county court to be able to listen to big
Yes.
divorce cases. They have big monies behind it, and when I say there's money, there's going to be multi-million-dollar estates or multi-million-dollar properties,
Right.
and so on and so forth, because they're capped. They might not be listened to, but they got a special exception to listen to those type of cases also at the
What about
county court of law.
what about criminal cases? Do you hear misdemeanors and felonies? What
You
exactly?
hear all type of cases in the felony court, and the reason I'm telling you, it has exclusive jurisdiction toward felonies, but it's not. But they share an exclusivity with the county court with the misdemeanors,
with the
because some felonies
are
end up
tied
getting reduced to misdemeanors,
right.
and it's at the felony level, at the district court level.
Right.
So you're able to listen to both types, or it's special case where it ends up getting indicted and tried in the 111 district court, because those are the ones with the grand
So
juries.
you would have the concurrent jurisdiction then with the 49th District Court, Judge Lopez and Judge Becky Palomo at the 341st.
Yes, we the 341st, the 406, and the 49th,
Right,
and the 111th all have the same jurisdictions.
right, right. Well, Judge, how do you feel about when you hear divorce and you have, because for the most part, when you get a divorce and there are children, sometimes men feel that they don't have a chance getting custody of a child. Because the majority of the reality is that most of the time the women end up having custody of the children. What's your standard, or what is the Texas standard relating to that issue?
Look, the only standard that we need to follow on custody cases is what's in the best interest of the child. So until you hear evidence and until you hear all these things that are going to be allowed to see what they have to meet that standard,
Yes.
and then you make a decision. So you have to be very fair and impartial. You have to be neutral. You have to listen to all the evidence, look at everything that's going to be taken into account, social studies, seeing what the recommendation of attorney ad litem's are. An
Yes.
attorney ad litem is it's an attorney that gets appointed for the child in order to represent the child's interest and not the parent's interest, independent of the parents, and see what it's all about. I did that for over
As a
22
lawyer,
years as a lawyer. So
you've been on the side of the male, the father, and the
yes,
mother.
I've been on both sides as a male, representing in custody cases the father, and in custody cases representing the mother, and some of them being taken away either by the father or taken away by the mother, or the mother trying to take it away from the father, which was originally had gotten it the custody,
Right.
and then or the father taking it away from the mother. So I've been on both sides of the aisle on it, and you cannot make a decision. All you can make a decision is what is it that's going to be presented for the court. But at the ultimate, the beacon calling for what is going to be done and the correct ruling would be for what's in the best interest of the child.
So again, it doesn't matter if you're the father or the mother. Both of them, based on that standard, then either one of them could end up having custody of the child.
Definitely.
And of course, you compare the pros and the cons and the top of other details.
Everything that's going to be presented to the court. Remember, it has to be presented and it has to come out through testimony in order for the evidence to
Right.
be admitted. Anything that's paper and it's submitted as paper, it doesn't mean anything until you take the witness stand.
Right.
And then
That's
you
the live-
evaluate it. And that's the live testimony that needs to be heard. So you can file all the paperwork you want, but if your lawyer doesn't present it, it's not going to come in, and you're going to be left out in the
I
cold.
have a question, Judge. Just
Yes.
Facebook posts. Do the lawyers file evidence through Facebook posts? If they see the father or the woman smoking marijuana, let's say, does that come into as part of the evidence?
It all depends. Sometimes, remember, all these people are going through a lot of struggles. They're going through a lot of
But do
fighting.
you order the drug test?
Well, let me tell you, it depends what the evidence is going to be presented or not presented, and it depends what they're asking for. If it's something reasonable that's going to go in toward the best interest of the child in order for something to be done, it'll be ordered. But if it's not going to be toward the best interest of the child, it's only going to be so in order to harass the party or the other, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And you have to take everything into account. But we cannot make decisions if we don't have any other facts.
But it's important for people to understand that possibly whatever you put on Facebook may turn out to be as evidence.
Look, everything that usually comes out on Facebook, but it has to be authenticated. Look, you
Right.
have to go
That's
through a lot
right.
of obstacles before it gets in.
Right.
We need to know if it's the post is true or not.
Right.
It can be a fake post. We don't know.
Yes.
We definitely
Well,
don't know. That's what the
argue
lawyers are going to
for.
be doing, trying to introduce evidence, but they need to follow the rules of evidence in order for it to be authenticated
Right.
and then admissible.
Now, Judge, what about for people who don't have the money to pay for an attorney, and they go before you on either custody or any other case? How does the courts handle those?
Right now, the way I remember handling them, lawyers can do pro bono cases to begin with. We have certain hours that we need to turn in as pro bono, and we can take up some cases like that and help the parties.
So you remove them. Some of those cases can be removed
and put in
another docket.
Yes,
where they're both litigants and neither one has an attorney.
Usually that's the case. They're trying to save some money on the lawyers. They usually don't have any properties to dispute or custody, or there's no issues that's going to be something where it's going to be very costly for them. So they have a litigant where they represent themselves.
Yes.
And they can come in, and there's forms that are provided by the state bar. They're promulgated from the state bar, and we can direct them to it.
To the public library.
You can do it to the public library, but you can make them also accessible through your webpage.
Right.
Look, if you look at our webpage in the municipal court, we have a lot of things that are available too that you don't have to go search the internet for. We can make it available to you to follow certain forms that need to be filed, and we can do the same over here at the 111 District Court to help them.
I know that district courts, I believe, have a docket just for people who don't, divorce docket for people who don't have lawyers.
That's correct.
And
then
so
where
that
they
way,
represent
like
themselves.
the way you set those aside and hear it on a special day, because they're the ones who are going to talk to you directly. And chances are you're going to take longer with them.
Well, remember, they want to talk to you. They want to tell their story. Some things come in, some things don't come in, and you need to explain to them and educate them what is it that they're going to be able to need or not need in order to get the divorce, what the standard is, and what questions to ask. And usually the judge is the one that helps them out doing all those things when they're not represented.
Makes sense, but people need to understand, though, that if you're having custody of a child, you're asking, and you don't want to hire a lawyer, you have to appoint an ad attorney, possibly in a case. And so there are some fees that they cannot just be waived, that they're gonna have to pay.
Yeah.
So I mean, it seems to me that some of the divorces are not free. That they're just gonna, if it's a custody issue, chances are you're gonna have to pay something.
Everything costs money. There's always a cost toward everything that you do.
Yeah.
There's always going to be work that needs to get charged. Sometimes the county ends up paying the bill.
Yes.
Because they're indigent, but you have to prove that you're indigent to the judge first. Right. Some people they just don't want to hire lawyers because they don't want to spend on them, but they're trying to get rid of a house. So you tell them, look, after the sale of the house, you're going to have to pay these lawyers from the sale of the house. Yes. There's certain things, there's always going to be things that are going to get done. Definitely. So in order for the case to be done, and there's children involved, I think it's incumbent for the child to be represented because you want it to be fair for both parties. And most of all, it should be in the best interest of the child all the time.
Now, the 111 District Court handles a mental health court. As I understand, it's for the criminal cases. And Judge Dodson has handled them pretty well. Do you plan to continue with that mental health court?
Of course. That's a specialty court that all the districts, all the counties should have a specialty court and mental health. And Judge Dodson decided to take it on her own. And in 2012, when she started it, I had cases that they issued with mental health. And it was a great program to deal with. And in those specialty courts, it's very different how you treat the people that come before you. They still have some criminal, they have the problems. You're still dealing with the problem, but you deal with them on a one-to-one basis. That's where the exception comes in on the ex parte communications, because they already dealt with it. You don't need another lawyer, but you deal with them. And you have a specialized case manager just to handle those cases from the court. We're lucky that it's paid by the county. It's not a grant based because they can cut the grant at any time. Right. So it's already part of the structure of it. I would love to expand it and be able to bring other courts to participate and send the defendants that need
Right.
that type of help, because I already do the same thing here following Judge Knotson's model. We did the same over here at the municipal court. We started seeing people that had mental issues, and that's why they were getting in trouble,
Yeah,
either for
so
theft
and
or
people
other
need to
charges or
right.
drug possessions, and we would send them to border region,
Right,
scan,
and that's
pillar.
exactly, and those are the conditions in order for them to be considered possibly lowering, making it a probation case.
And basically they have to be non-violent
Right.
cases. And you see all these type of cases that they have, that's what they get in trouble because they're not taking their medicine. So as part of the whole deal, you want them to continue. It's not a case that it's going to be done in 6 months, 8 months. No, it's duration of the period.
It seems to be that you're gonna use more compassion here
Of course,
than the law.
you have to use the compassion, but you use the law to help you in order to you to enforce those
Yes.
things. In order for them to follow them, they know that if they comply, they're going to be able to be terminated and not
Right.
get and be done with
And,
it.
and I want to let it be known that the district attorney's office supports this project because they're the ones who also work with the local attorney and say, I recommend this case to go to mental health instead of them serving time at the penitentiary.
There's in the last legislature, they gave over $1 billion to the different counties in order to expand on the mental health authority, which is the border region,
Yes.
to take care of more cases like this,
Right.
because a lot of the cases should not be in jail because of what
Exactly.
the problems they're having. So, in seeing those things and taking advantage of, I think we should expand on the mental health program. I would like to partner up with some type of private company in order to see what is it that we can do to help more of these people.
That's a great idea, Judge. Very good idea because we need more services for our mental health patients.
But we're stigmatized. Remember,
I know.
they're stigmatized, so people don't come out and say, you know what,
Yes.
I don't do it. The reason I started getting more involved in the municipal court was because this little girl had an outcry in the middle of her hearing, and she says, I just want to take my life. I owe too much, and I can't deal with all this pressure, and I want to take my life. I had to stop the hearing right then and there, call the people from Pillar on the suicidal thing. They sent me a couple of counselors, and we partnered up with them. For the next years before COVID, we partnered up with them, and they would send somebody there that would sit with us on Tuesdays, because that's when we had the mental health cases, and we were setting them for Tuesdays in the morning, and we would see them there.
Wow. That's a good deal. Definitely, that's where you definitely need to use some compassion and work with them because they don't sometimes they're not obviously do not understand what's going on. And so they do need the compassion of a judge to sit down and talk to them and work through the whole process. It is not easy, Judge.
No,
If you're going through the mental health process like that, you don't get out a year later.
no, it's the whole period. You might be there for 10 years.
Yes.
They might extend it for 12 years. It's a process that you say, when am I going to get rid of it? You're not, because you're mentally not there,
Yes.
and you're mentally ill and you need some help. And that's why we're going to be there to help people like that, so they can so we can have a safe community, safe society. We don't want somebody to get in one of those episodes, in a mental
Exactly.
episodes, and get in trouble and go kill somebody.
Well,
We'll take care of them.
We had one case like that back in the 2000s. We did have a mental health case in that mental health court that went crazy, so to speak, at the local college and stabbed someone later on. But those are very few.
They're far and in between.
Very few. So I mean, I salute Judge Knotson for doing a great job in the last 10, 20, almost 15 years that she's
Yes.
done this. Did a great
Yes.
job. So, Judge, on another matter, and that is the issue of the big money judgment cases. I would imagine, Judge, you treat all the lawyers the same. They're from out of town or in town. Your decisions are not based on who the lawyer is handling the case.
That's correct. You have to be fair and impartial to the parties. So some people hire out of town lawyers, some people hire local lawyers, some people like to hire out of town lawyers and they end up hiring the lawyer itself, a local counsel, another local lawyer
Yes.
to handle the cases. We want to do so cases can move. We want people to be represented. So there's things that we can do to treat people from out of town almost the same, so they won't cost as much money to the litigant if they end up deciding to go for an out of town lawyer. remember, they start charging you because they start traveling, and then they stay here and they charge for that. They charge for their time waiting around in court and then to travel back. So
They're
it
very
gets
expensive.
expensive.
Very
So
expensive.
you
I
want
know.
to see, because of COVID, we were able to see Zoom people through Zoom. My attorney docket, we see attorneys through Zoom, and we see them live in person. But if we're having a hearing, it has to be a live hearing. It
Yes.
can't be a Zoom hearing. But for cases where they need to
Pre-trial
be
hearings
there's no dispositive motions. It's only motions to clear
to clear some issues.
to clear the
Administrative
issues
Yes.
there. The administer well to clean house,
Yes.
and it's motion for continuance or something where there's not going to be evidence provided.
Yes.
Just the arguments themselves. I don't see any problem having them appear through Zoom. The problem becomes when they're not showing up to court and the case needs to be either dismissed or
Right.
or called back, and it holds back everything, and it becomes costly for the taxpayer or for the litigant. And I don't want that. We want to save money. I save
Definitely.
money at the municipal court. I want to save money here at the district court also. So
Well,
lawyers are going to be treated the same regardless of where they're from.
good. One of the last questions is the other. You're going to be a part of the juvenile board, part of the criminal probation department as well. Of course, part of the bail bond board and other types of boards. How do you see any changes coming up with you being selected or being elected as the
As part of the municipal court, we're part of the bail bond board already. So I participated since I started as a municipal court judge to participate in the bail bond board, and we revised a lot of the rules already. In fact, we revised the whole rule book for
Right.
bail bonds. We're the ones that regulate
Well, I mean, it
the
got
bail
better.
bond business.
Right.
It's getting better,
Getting better.
and it's always a work in progress. And we're having a meeting at 3 o'clock today because we're looking every 2 years. We try to look at the rules, see what rules are working, not working, or where we need to upgrade. Because with this things of the technology coming in,
Yes.
we need to look at everything the way it might affect the regulation of the bail bond board business. So we're having that today. Now, if I participate in the juvenile board, of course, I would love to. I do a lot of juvenile cases now. They filed over 1,000 juvenile cases at the municipal court
Incredible. That's a lot.
with children that we see at the municipal court, and I've done special things with them. There was the law that changed that we have to give a diversionary program
Yes.
on everything that's non-transport type of offense. So if it's a driving case, they couldn't participate. But for the diversionary programs to participate, it had to be something from the penal code or from the ordinance code, and we've
And
taken
make it
advantage of
yes.
it. And we have the case manager that we were able to get from the governor first, and now he's in-house. We don't have to go and apply for grants anymore. We collected enough in the juvenile fund to grant him. So yes, I'd be interested because I think a lot of the problems that we do see in society, if we don't address them when they're young, then it's going to be a problem.
We just had a case, for example, we had a case of 3 juveniles who at least at this point, the victim is pretty much badly hurt. And people feel many times that the community sometimes feels that the judges may be a little bit off in terms of the bonds that they set. Um, what does a judge need to do to set up a reasonable bond for a lot of these cases? Because people sometimes feel that the bonds aren't hard enough against the criminals out there.
Look, you need to follow standards. You need to follow the law.
Okay.
And the law's set. Right now, the governor and lieutenant governor have been restricting a lot of the liberties and the discretion judges have towards setting bonds.
Yes, I realize that. Yeah.
And they're tying the judges' hands more and more every day because they feel that there's a lot of judges out there just giving out PR bonds for anything. There's a lot of issues that come into play in order for bonds to be set.
Yes.
But one has to see on the safety of the community first, and they have to see
The severity.
the severity of the case, and they have to see their flight risk or not.
Yes.
So you start hitting the boxes, but you have to have at the time of the magistration, you look into that. There's reports that need to be filed now that you need to look into. And if you see a guy that's out on bond and then commits another case and wants to get a bond again, well, you as a judge, you have to start thinking, You know what? It's not applicable. He's committing a felony, committing another felony. Look, at the bail bond board, this is a rule that came out that we ended up doing a rule for the bonding companies to be regulated. Anytime you have a domestic violence type of case, you need to pay 10%. Anytime there's felonies, it's 10%. The misdemeanors, 5%. That's the minimum because they were letting out people, even though bonds were set at 10% or they were set at $100,000, they were being let out at $2,000, at 2%. So we had to make a rule.
Under the law, the judges control the bail bond companies.
Yes, we regulate the
You
business.
regulate the business.
We regulate the whole business. So we're trying to make the community safer. And the reason this rule came out was, remember the shooting that happened over there in South Laredo and Cheyenne, where the girlfriend got shot, and then the mother got shot,
Yes,
and
that's
the
one
brother
that
got
the
shot.
mayor was talking about. Yes.
Okay, that's where that rule came from. The reason it came from is because one of the bonding companies said, we've been competing in order to get people out of jail, and the way we're competing is, some people are letting them out at 2%, some people are letting them out at 3%, and this was a bond that was already set.
Yes.
He was already on bond, and the bond was at a $10,000 bond, and the defendant ended up making a $200 payment, and he was released in December. And everything legal, everything
Yeah, but that's
okay.
the whole point.
But the whole
It
regulation
just
is,
doesn't sound good for the community.
no, it doesn't sound good. And this is that's why we addressed it. The
Yes.
bonding companies all signed it and said, Judge, we need something to regulate. We need something to set a standard that has to be 10%, especially for these type of offense. So they need to prove to the jail now that they collected the 10%
Right.
in order for them to be released.
Right.
And a lot of people have a hard time getting it. It's not as like everybody's getting out of jail or not.
No, but it's always the issue of who goes to jail and how do they get out. People raise the issue of our friends, our families, and how do you keep that from happening? Because you're going to be, obviously, you look over the magistrate over there when you go in as a 111 district court judge, and then there's always a possibility that maybe a family member get themselves into trouble, and for whatever reason, things happen.
Let the process work. Look, the jail's making it a lot easier for people to know. They're getting to
Much
be more
more.
transparent.
There's a lot more.
We made a rule that now every 15 minutes, if you look at their jail website, you're going to see the people that have been arrested in the last 15 minutes.
Okay.
As soon as they get booked, boom, it comes out, and it comes out. It's cutting time for the jail to answer calls. All they need to look, he's here, he's out on bond, not on bond, and you'll be able to tell.
Right.
If it happens during bonding hours where the judges are available,
Yes.
the judges can set a bond and do on and so
Right.
forth.
Exactly.
But people, we get it, but there are rules to follow. There are reports to be done. And when you let people out of jail, when you're breaking all those or taking shortcuts through those things, that's when people get in trouble.
Well,
Judges get in trouble.
I
So
agree
you
with
have to.
Yeah, I
You
agree
have
with
to.
you.
You have to follow
We do
the
not
law on
want
that.
to have the community saying there's a double standard.
And it's not.
But it gives, sometimes that's the impression out there. And so somehow the judges need to be a little bit not more transparent, but educate the public as to what the criteria is.
They have to give them their voice, and
Yes.
in order to gain trust
Yes.
with the public, you're gonna have to show them the process. And the more you show him the process, and the more you show him how is it that the process is, we try to do it on our website. When we came in on a website at the
Yeah.
bail bond board, it was just a website that said bail bond board.
Yes.
Now we have rules. Now we have processes. You can see flow charts of what needs to get done or not.
Yes.
But people don't go into that because they're only caring about how do I get my
My
child,
or
my
daughter.
son or daughter out of jail,
Exactly.
or how do I get my cousin out of jail, or my girlfriend or my friend, whatever it is. And what needs to be important is, if you look at that webpage and you see it and you see the process, and then you're going, okay, now I understand what needs to get done. And then you see all these bonding companies there because they're listed, then you can pick them. But remember, referrals by word of mouth is king.
Yes.
Everybody says, hey, who did you call? Who did you ask for? And that's where they go. But everybody is doing the same amount of work, same type of work. They can pick whoever they want.
Yeah.
But
I get it. I get it. It's an ongoing process every day. And it was just years ago that wasn't the case. But now it's a lot more transparent. Can do more, but we're getting there, which is
Well,
good.
like I told you before, it's a work in
A work in
progress.
progress,
It's a work
exactly.
in progress, and we just need to educate people.
Right.
And everything happens. You see what is it when everything fails and the people are upset or what's going on is because they were not told.
Yeah.
If
Well,
people
I
are
think they
told,
get mad when they see low bonds on obvious cases where there should not be low bonds. And so you don't have to set them. I know that another person will set them, but that's something that needs to be continues to be checked because people get the impression they're getting off scot free.
well, and that's what needs to be done. Look, in Ware County, in other counties, they have a bond schedule.
Yeah.
And if you get caught with a child or there's a child that's a victim or there's a
Right.
gun involved, those
It just
bonds are
starts.
not set less than 75,000 to begin with,
Right.
until you have a hearing and you start listening
Yes.
to the evidence.
Yes.
But it's not going to happen overnight. So
No,
when
it
you
takes
see,
time.
so when
But
you
the
see
bail
bond,
bonding system did get improved. I saw, and you're part of the board.
Okay.
It got much better over the last 3 to 5 years. So it's a lot more controlled. People not they're not releasing people just like that, like they were doing it before with the 3%.
for
And
the
so
2%.
the 2%. So
Yeah.
you've done a great job, Judge. Last question that I've got to ask you is: people are voting beginning February the 17th to the 27th, I believe.
That's correct.
Now, what is that you want the public to know as they're voting for this position, right before they go vote? What is it that you want them to remember about your race or you?
Well, first of all, I want to ask the people here in Webb County for their vote. The vote in confidence. They voted for me already in 2018. They re-elected me in 2022 to be their municipal court judge. And I want them to have that confidence that they had in me that I will lead the 111 to the next level. I want them to see that I have the experience, that I am fair and impartial, that I treat everybody that comes before the court with dignity and respect, and that I'm going to hear all these cases with compassion and give everybody their time in order for them to tell their story in court, because everybody does have a story. I've always heard my people when I represented them as lawyers, and I heard them here at the municipal court, and I want to continue with the same because I have the experience to do it. I have the temperament to do it, the judicial temperament. So remember me when you go to the ballot, vote for Jesus Chuy Dominguez as your next municipal, as your next 111 district court judge.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you again before the election. Remember, don't forget to go vote between February 17th to the 27th. Is that right?
That's correct.
Those are early voting. If you have any questions, where can they reach you, Judge?
They can reach me. There's a webpage, Judge Chuy Dominguez or Jesus Dominguez for judge. It's on. You can reach me through Facebook. You can reach me through my cell number.
Yeah.
I have it available. There's different telephone numbers for the campaign. If you look at my webpage, you'll be able to see it. Just click on the QR code and it'll get all the information. We do make that information available to you. And if you really can't get a hold of me,
Yeah.
just look for me at the municipal court and get me out of there, and I'll get out of the building to talk to
Get
you.
out of there every once in a while. Get
Once
some
in
air.
a while, we need a break.
Definitely. Thank you, Judge, for being here. And I want to thank you, the public, for watching. This has been another episode of 24/7 Laredo. You can still, again, like the Facebook page, or you can subscribe and watch the other videos that we've already done. Until then, you have a blessed day and enjoy the day.